Melissa, thank you for joining us today. As we start, can you say a few words about your current role and what's in your purview?
Yeah, sure. Thank you for having me on. Um, I'm the VP Marketing at Scytale. We're a cybersecurity startup, specifically helping SMBs and startups with security compliance. We automate SOC 2, ISO 27001, HIPAA, GDPR, like the whole preparation process ahead of that. And we have an expert team that guides customers through the whole process as well. I've been with Scytale for just about a year and a half. We're based in Tel Aviv.
Awesome. And what functions kind of roll up to you?
On my team, I've got a marketing operations manager. I've got a marketing manager. I've got a community manager, and I've got 2 SDRs.
Interesting. So SDRs, but sometimes SDRs report to marketing, sometimes sales.
So it's tricky. I mean, it's been sort of a process. Originally, I did not have any SDRs on my team, but my leads were sort of getting lost on the outbound team. And they weren't getting the attention I think that they deserved, just because of whatever, like the commission structure wasn't set up properly. So they didn't have like a real incentive to kind of work inbound leads. So since November, so it's been already like what, I don't know, 7 months. I've had an inbound SDR on my team, and I just recently had a second one join about a month ago. That I'm managing completely, and they're only dedicated to working inbound leads. So awesome. We have an outbound team of SDRs that work only outbound leads, and we have an inbound SDR team working inbound leads.
I understand. Well, that kind of paints the picture of where you are in your kind of career journey, and it's a dot on the line. But just to get an idea of the whole line, how did you get into cybersecurity marketing? What was the starting point?
So I actually come from a completely different space. I've been in B2B SaaS marketing for about 7 years now, but before that I was doing something completely different. I studied international affairs, and I was involved in politics and international affairs for years. And then I shifted into tech, which I think is a must if you live in Tel Aviv. About 7 years ago, I was working at an agency that was working with startups doing kind of outsourced marketing for about 5 years. And when I was there at that agency, I was working at a startup called Octopi. I built the marketing there from scratch, and I headed the marketing team there for about 5 years. And then, as I said, about a year and a half ago, I joined Scytale as the VP of marketing. So that's kind of like a little history of how I got involved. I mean, I wouldn't say like Octopi is not in the cybersecurity space. They're in the business intelligence, data management space. But I was looking for an exciting opportunity at a B2B SaaS startup, early stage, sort of my bread and butter. So I jumped on, and I'm finding the space really, really interesting and exciting. The space meaning cybersecurity.
Absolutely.
Also quite tight-knit, so everybody sort of knows each other.
Yeah, it's amazing. Israel definitely is punching above its weight in terms of the cybersecurity startups. It's amazing how many large companies, unicorns, and earlier stage startups. It's incredible. Just it's truly a cyber valley. I don't know what you call it, but it's from I mean, Checkpoint, I guess, probably was one of the first ones. And I recently saw an article about Checkpoint Mafia. Well, the same way like PayPal Mafia, everyone who was involved in it went along to start major companies. It basically listed all the people were involved early on in Checkpoint, and they went on to be founders or senior executives at the kind of the next wave of startup cybersecurity startups. It's pretty incredible. Well, I guess as a result, it's interesting. You have different perspective. You mentioned politics. You mentioned marketing agencies, B2B tech with Octopi, I think it's called, right? The cybersecurity. I think it gives you a very interesting vantage point from your experience. What would you recommend to someone who may be a little bit early in their career journey? Maybe they're looking to transition to do the same transition from B2B, from technology to cybersecurity marketing. or maybe even earlier on, some of the junior professionals or even students as they're looking into the space and trying to figure out how to make a career out of it, what would you recommend those professionals would focus on? What are some of the 2-3 things in your view they should pay attention to, focus on, or
Yeah.
do to kind of stack the deck in their favor and set them up for success?
I think that there's a lot that they can do. It also depends on the personality of the person and their strong suits. I mean, is marketing for you? I think that by default, like, you have to be somebody who can do a lot of different things and simultaneously, like, you have to be multitasker in marketing, not related to cybersecurity marketing in general. And I would also suggest, because I think that this is a really strong and important skill to have and develop, and there will be always job opportunities associated with these people, is to become, like, let's say if you're interested in more like the kind of marketing operations segment of marketing, I would say that definitely become like HubSpot certified or Marketo certified, like become an expert in one of those, or in PPC. I think there's so much opportunity there. Like, that's a really good way to enter a marketing team. I know that I spent countless hours looking for experts to join my team, and there are not that many of them. So I'm always recommending people who are looking kind of like for a career switch, or are maybe at the beginning of their journey, their career journey, that I would say, like, why don't you get certified in HubSpot or in PPC marketing, digital marketing, kind of like study that, and then you kind of have this like niche skill that I think can help you enter a marketing team, and then from there you can, the world's your oyster, you can develop.
Absolutely, makes a lot of sense. Well, you mentioned some of the tools, HubSpot, Inbound, PPC. It seems like there is no silver bullet in this business. It's you marketers really rely on a range of tools. What are some of the tools that work for you now? It seems it's always a moving target with technology, with the way the industry is maturing and getting more sophisticated. It seems like some of the instruments are getting dull and being replaced or enhanced. But what is working for you now?
I mean, we live on HubSpot, and I can say that after 5 years of working with another tool, Pardot, which I felt was very, very challenging for us. This has been really fresh and easy, and it's changed the way I work. So we're really big fans of HubSpot over here, and again, I live on it. Other than that, I mean, there's all sorts of tools we use for various like, I guess, niche projects, like to host podcasts and things like that. But
I guess I misspoke a bit. When I meant tools, I meant metaphorically, not the tech stack, but maybe more. Well, some companies rely on channels. Other companies rely on
so channel is working the best for us.
Speaking engagements for senior leaders and thought leadership and content. Other companies very heavy outbound email, LinkedIn. That's what I meant. By the tool, I meant what channel is what source of new top of line growth is working for you now from kind of the marketing perspective?
So we're doing a little bit of everything, but I would say that in our trial and error, we're seeing that paid social advertising on LinkedIn is definitely probably the one area where I would not reduce. Our ability there to pinpoint and target our ICP and be able to have complete control. I feel that, like, I'm controlling the spend, I'm controlling the geo, I'm controlling the job titles, and I can change it. I control the campaigns, I control everything about it. And I see the leads coming in, and I see the leads converting, and it just works. And I was one for everybody, but I think that it's also, you have to have the right recipe. You have to, it's a constant, it's constantly testing and changing and adding and taking away. And I think it's a really great channel for us. Conferences have been less effective for us. of course, from a brand perspective, it's great and it's fun and it gets everybody excited and you feel really high while you're there. And then afterwards, like, you're like, okay, nothing really came out of it. That's for us. That's our experience. We do enjoy, we have seen pretty good success, not like paid social, but from webinars here and there. Depends, of course, on the partner and organization that you're doing it with. But yeah, I mean, and at the end of the day, I would say that content marketing is probably what's driving everything. I mean, well, by far, most of our business is coming from organic.
I understand. That's it's amazing. It's to your point. It seems like it's always a moving target. And I know when email first came about, the response rate was 100%. Right? So now, because it was so novel, so new, and now it seems, on the outbound at least, steadily going down. So it's always, it seems like it's always.
I'm not managing the outbound team, but I mean they do have success.
Right.
Yeah. So, but I mean, I can share, like, on your point about the emails, I mean, I hit delete more than I open.
Yeah, it's at a conference when I hear mind if I scan your badge, I always my hand starts shaking because I know they scan the badge and then I'll get it's like guacamole, endless emails. We're not qualified. I can only imagine what like a CISO gets on an average day in terms of solicitations. Recently, I saw a post from someone we know. He was coming from a meeting and got a note that there was someone in his office unannounced who was there physically present because that CISO didn't respond to his email, so he decided to drop by. So that was
wow.
Yeah.
Bold.
Well, yeah. That's one way to put it, I guess. One thing that we hear a lot from, and we talk to cybersecurity sales executives and marketing executives, and I think one problem that kind of comes up here and there is that this question of intent. So when a company looks at the total addressable market, they identify their ideal customer profile, they understand this is the universe of companies that potentially could be our clients. But then what they realize quickly is that at any given point in time, only about 5 to 10% of them would show intent.
Yeah.
And when they do, things tend to be easy. They're on your website, they're consuming content, they're downloading white papers, they book demos with USDRs. Clearly, maybe they have a hair and fire problem. They understand the product landscape and they're actively shopping for a solution. And it's fairly straightforward to go from the first conversation to proof of concept to a paying client. And sales cycles are short. And hence, it seems like a lot of companies are investing, or you may say over-investing, in identifying, capturing intent. The problem that not a problem, but the challenge that a lot of companies face is that, again, it's only 5 to 10% of the total addressable market. So on the flip side, you really need to figure out a way to reach out and engage the rest of them, the 80, 90%. But the two challenges, it's the sales cycles tend to be long because they're pretty early in the customer journey. So it's a harder sell for the CFO or CEO to invest in those programs. It's also not obvious the return on investment because in multi-touch, you can guess which touch actually tipped the opportunity into the sales funnel. So attribution is fuzzy, and it's really not an easy sell. And so what are your thoughts? And as a result, companies tend to invest less in generating demand versus harvesting demand, which creates this a little bit of a kind of lopsided setup. It's not an easy challenge to solve, but what are your thoughts on this? How do you think about some of those challenges?
I think that's one of the biggest challenges is selling to the big boss, that just because somebody downloaded an ebook doesn't mean that they're ready to buy, and it doesn't mean that they will ever buy. Even just because somebody scheduled a demo with us doesn't mean that they're highly considering us. It could be that we're just one of the many contenders that they found us on G2. And they book demos with, you know, all top 10 of the leading companies or tools. So I think that yeah, because we show the data, we show how many leads are coming in, how many demos are coming in, and they're like, well, why aren't they converting? And like, it takes time. And it's hard to sell that. It's really, really hard to sell that to investors, to leadership. So that's, I think, one of the biggest challenges that we're seeing. Also, you were talking about the issue with managing all of that and understanding kind of which touch point, I guess, as you said, tips it into the sales funnel. I mean, we're not actually investing in any intent data at the moment, but and I don't really know like how that kind of stuff, how well it will work if we decide to do that. But I mean, we have tried to implement all sorts of different systems internally to sort of measure, like, you know, lead scoring and things like that, to see how many activities someone takes, a lead will take before they become, I guess, hot, so to say. And it's always changing, like internally, like different opinions and like whether or not that's relevant to do that. So it's like hard, like we're trying to measure intent internally once a lead comes in. So yeah.
So it sounds like you're trying different things on the demand generation side to see if it works, and you're not very you're not trying to like scrutinize every single thing and assign probabilities to every single touch and say, well, this lead was emailed first a year ago and then they attended the webinar, so we'll assign the email 50% weight on the webinar, 30%, whatever. It's like you're just saying, well, these are the customers that converted, and you create a hypothesis, I guess, in terms of what path they took, and by trying holistically figure out what channels, what sources work for you, and double down on those. It sounds, did I kind of sum it up?
Yeah, we typically look at, like, I mean, in terms of giving credit to a channel, we're really kind of simplifying it and looking at like how they came in.
Mm-hmm.
Of course, we look at the whole journey, but we're not.
I understand. You mentioned your target, the SMBs and medium-sized companies. It seems it's easier to find them, and probably the sales cycles are shorter, but which is, I guess, a benefit. But not going after like the Fortune 500, where the sales cycles are long and the check sizes are bigger. Does it put certain constraints in terms of how you think about investing in marketing and what channels kind of work better for you than others? In other words, the check size and the deal size, is it a constraint for the way you, because I mean, you mentioned LinkedIn, which I think is amazing in terms of targeting, in terms of all the dials that you can turn, but it's incredibly expensive. It's like, I know, $10-20 per click, and then it's amazing that you find success in that. But how do you think about making your go-to-market specific to the target?
I think that it's actually that's not a challenge for us. I mean, yes, of course, like going to enterprise would mean we'd be able to raise prices. But in terms of like the market that we're in, I mean, it's pretty much like across the board, like the same sort of pricing. So we can't change it too much. It is what it is. I mean, we can be slightly flexible. But no, I think that having a narrow ICP is actually really helpful. I think it's an opportunity because we can really, really pinpoint our content and pinpoint our whole messaging and strategy to talk to this very, very narrow ICP. And to clarify, it's actually SMBs and startups. Like, we're looking at really small companies. Like some of them, like I would say the majority of our customers are under 50 employees, like really small companies. So you can speak differently to this group.
Yeah, certainly. Well, and it's a large target, so it's you have more more people to talk to, more people to convert. Awesome. I know we're coming up on time, Melissa, and thank you for being so generous with offering your insights and with your time. I guess last few questions. One is, it seems every couple of years or so, there's a new theme that just captures everyone's attention. Well, sounds like you're a HubSpot shop. So for a while it was inbound, everything was inbound, and it was all about content. But then people realized that, again, it's a tool. It's not a silver bullet. It's one of the tools. Then for a while, for some companies, it was conferences, large scale events like RSA or Black Hat or Gartner, and they would invest, I don't know, hundreds of thousands of dollars. To your point, very excited, lots of parties, and then not that much coming out of it. Then with COVID, this went away, and everyone leaned into online roundtables and webinars, and people got tired of that. It seems like these days it's ChatGPT and how it's going to change content creation and distribution, and how it's going to enhance SDRs and BDRs and things like this. So it's almost, and some of this I think it's real. Some of it is a little bit of a hype cycle.
Yeah,
imagine you have a crystal ball and you can see into the future, 6 months, 12 months, couple of years. What do you think cybersecurity marketers will be thinking about, obsessing about, or concerned about in 1 year's time? What are 2-3 things that you think will be top of mind?
Well, maybe it would be, I guess, popular to say they'd all be like trying to keep their jobs because ChatGPT is going to be taking over, in AI, trying to maybe find a new career. But I actually don't believe that. I definitely think there's going to be some major changes, but I think we'll still be here, and we'll just be a little bit more technological and have to kind of learn how to implement and leverage these tools better, to keep pushing forward our business goals. I know that right now we're using AI to create, like I'm sure so many marketers, to create more content, but not just hit play and go. I mean, we're using it to we're using it as the skeleton, and then we're using it to just create, to be able to create more. So I'm assuming that a year from now that will still be happening, but maybe on a larger scale, or maybe we'll be able to use it for other things like bringing in leads. I mean, I'm sure there's so many more things that we can develop with that. But yeah, I do believe that we're all still going to be here. Maybe we'll look a little bit different, but yeah.
maybe all of us will have a Neuralink uplink to ChatGPT, and we'll have the same processing power. So we'll see.
Yes.
Well, maybe we'll connect in a year and see where we are. So it'll be interesting to do that. So thank you again. Thank you so much. I know we're coming up on time. What's the best way to connect? Where can people find you?
LinkedIn. I live on LinkedIn, just like I live on HubSpot. I live on LinkedIn. Melissa Dill, DIL. Yeah, happy to connect.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much.
Sure. Thank you.